Hi guys, it's me AB, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm currently one of the youth interns, and I also lead the grade 9 to 10 boys small group. And today I have the awesome opportunity to just share a DEVO with you guys, and so let's just get right into it. So if you have your Bibles ready, we will be reading from John 6 verses 1 to 15, where it says, "After this, Jesus went away to the other side of the Sea of Galilee, which is the Sea of Tiberias, and a large crowd was following him because they saw the signs that he was doing on the sick. Jesus went up on the mountain, and there he sat down with his disciples. Now the Passover, the feast of the Jews, was at hand. Lifting up his eyes then, and seeing that a large crowd was coming toward him, Jesus said to Philip, 'Where are we to buy bread so that these people may eat?' He said this to test him, for he himself knew what he would do. Philip answered him, 200 denarii worth of bread would not be enough for each of them to get a little. One of his disciples, Andrew, Simon Peter's brother, said to him, 'There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many?' Jesus said, 'Have the people sit down.' Now there was much grass in the place, so the men sat down, about 5,000 in number. Jesus then took the loaves, and when he had given thanks, he distributed them to those who were seated, so also the fish, as much as they wanted. And when they had eaten their fill, he told his disciples, 'Gather up the leftover fragments, that nothing may be lost.' So they gathered them up and filled 12 baskets with fragments from the 5 barley loaves left by those who had eaten. When the people saw the sign that he had done, they said, 'This is indeed the prophet who is to come into the world.' Perceiving then that they were about to come and take him by force to make him king, Jesus withdrew again to the mountain by himself." So I remember learning and hearing about this story in Sunday school ever since I was 5 years old maybe. And I feel that it's always highlighted how miraculous and powerful Jesus is. He was able to take 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish and literally feed 5,000 people and still have leftovers on top of that. But this time around, something else stood out to me. In verses 8 to 9 it says, "One of his disciples, Andrew, said to him, 'There is a boy here who has 5 barley loaves and 2 fish, but what are they for so many?'" So I noticed 2 things in those verses: willingness and doubt. I imagine myself being that little boy in a sea of hungry people with my super small lunch. I would have found myself torn between keeping the lunch to myself or offering up to Jesus and his disciples. It wouldn't have made sense in my head that that small contribution would even make a small dent in the problem. Even Andrew himself, a disciple, was skeptical, asking, "But what are they among so many?" The boy could have easily hidden his food, knowing that with the problem at hand, it wouldn't have gone far. But he offered it anyway. And I find myself reflecting on if I have that kind of heart. How much of my gifts and blessings am I willing to offer to God and to others? In terms of ministry, it's so easy to get discouraged when we see people serving already, thinking things like, "Oh my gosh, he's so good at playing guitar, why would I even bother joining the team? Oh my gosh, he's so good at public speaking, I would never be able to do that." We tend to become like Andrew in this story, full of doubt and uncertainty when it comes to what we have to offer. In Romans 12:1 it says, "I appeal to you therefore, brothers, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is your spiritual worship." So just a little story time for you. Around grade 8 is when I started to come to youth consistently every Friday night. I would go to church and then listen to Ate Buena talk for hours and then go home. But I knew that in my heart I wanted to serve. I just didn't know how. So I prayed to God, offering whatever gifts I had and asking Him to give me opportunities to use those gifts in youth. At the time, I was sure of 2 things. I love being around people, and I love music. A lot of you might not know this, but I started out singing backup for At the Ednil and Kuya Gerald in one of our summer youth conferences. I can't say I was amazing at it, but it was pretty fun. Eventually, I got into playing piano, and ever since, I have been the main pianist for the worship team. And then around grade 11, Ate Buena asked me to become a small group leader. And my initial reaction was, why me? Even though I love being around people, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to lead group discussions and have these heavy conversations about faith and life. I was very hesitant to take the position, but I still remember that prayer that I had in grade 8. How I asked God to give me opportunities to serve. And so I took the position, telling God that I trust Him and believing that He'll be able to develop the gifts that I'm offering to Him and the church. It's crazy to look back on my journey within ministry. I started out with singing backup, and now I get to play piano almost every week for youth and for Sunday services. And at one point, I even had the title of music director. I started with being a hesitant small group leader to now having an actual job within the church, running the youth ministry itself alongside Ate Buena, Joyce, and Jude. And so I want to encourage you guys who have shown willingness to serve in youth, especially the new members of the youth crew, shout out to you guys, and also for those who might still be unsure about serving in general. If someone told me 7 years ago that I was gonna become a music director and a youth intern, I would have just laughed in disbelief. But the crazy thing is that we have a God who is greater than we can ever imagine. A small seed turns into a huge tree. And in the same way, when you offer up your gifts to God, no matter how small they are, He will recognize that willingness in your heart and bless you with gifts and opportunities that you would have never thought of having. The key is that we have to be willing to offer ourselves to Him. Imagine if that boy hid his lunch instead. How much the story would have changed. And then imagine how he must have felt when he saw what Jesus did with his offering. When we trust God and are willing to offer our lives to Him, He will bless us tenfold and equip us with strength, knowledge, and power to do whatever He calls us to do. And so that is it from me today. I hope you guys found some encouragement in this. Remember that I, and alongside all the other youth leaders, are always here to talk to you guys when it comes to life and faith and whatever you have in your minds. Have an awesome weekend and God bless you.